The following program is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing.
Did you know that Germany was the very first country to recognize Kenya at independence? That's how cordial the relationship between these two nations has been over the decades.
When you think of diplomacy, you might picture high-level meetings, policy discussions, and formal events. But what if we told you that sometimes diplomacy hits a different note? Today on the show, we are headed to the German official residence to speak with the ambassador to Kenya, His Excellency Sebastian Groth, a man who believes that music and diplomacy share the same rhythm, connection, harmony, and understanding. From the heart of Berlin, Germany's vibrant capital, to Nairobi, it's a journey of over 6,000 kilometers, a bridge between two nations bound by partnership, innovation, and shared values. Germany is known for its precision engineering, iconic cars, rich culture, and of course, its deep love for music, a passion Ambassador Groth proudly shares. Away from the policy tables, you'll find him behind a piano or performing with his band, the Modaiga 3, where melody meets diplomacy in perfect sync. In this episode of BALOZI Speaks, we'll explore Germany's growing relationship with Kenya, the ambassador's musical journey, and how creativity can strike just the right diplomatic chord.
Join me. All right, Ambassador Sebastian Groth, thank you so much for having us at your residence and for agreeing to this interview. Now, of course, you've been in Kenya since 2022. But before that, you've had a long journey in the world of diplomacy. Kindly take us through that before you even came to Kenya. Where else have you been as a diplomat?
Well, it's a long journey, but not a very complicated journey, because I only served in two other countries before. Not really two other countries, but two other postings. The first one was already Kenya. So I was here as a junior diplomat, 2001 to 2004. The change from Moi to Kibaki, a very interesting time in the history of this country. After this, I went back to Berlin for 6 years, mainly working in policy planning and as a speechwriter for the minister. And then I was 4 years based in Paris, but not really working as a diplomat, but as an exchange civil servant detached to the French government, working for 3 French prime ministers at this time. Then I came back to Berlin, headed the office of the 2 principal secretaries in the ministry, and went back to policy planning, first as deputy director and then director. And now I'm again in Kenya. Okay. So it's only Kenya and France so far.
All right. Interesting that you started your career in diplomacy here in Kenya, meaning that you have a special connection or relationship with this country?
In a way, yes. I think you never forget your first post abroad, because it's where your adventure in diplomacy starts somehow. And at this time, I've never been in Africa before. And my idea of Africa was that it's all very dry and desert. And then I landed here and saw all this green plants and the green city in the sun, as Nairobi was called at this time. It's still called like this today. So I was super positively surprised and liked it from the very beginning.
Okay. What was the feeling like now when you were sent back as ambassador after leaving the country initially?
That was interesting. It was also my wish. So we get a list of the vacancies and then we can apply for different postings, and it was my #1 wish. But of course, it's totally different if you're heading an embassy with 91 people and being responsible for 3 countries like Kenya, Somalia, Seychelles, and UNEP and Habitat as well. Or to be a desk officer in the beginning of your career. So now I'm really dealing most of my time with the Kenyan government counterparts, but also civil society, private sector representatives, and cultural people also. And also when we have delegations coming from Berlin, I'm the one who is responsible and in charge for 100% of everything, so to speak. So it's a different degree of responsibility, a different workload also, of course, but I still like it very much.
All right. Yes, there must be a lot of work for you to do, but you're also one of the most visible of the European ambassadors to Kenya. I've seen you at the stadium watching Harambee Stars. Even your social media is quite busy. You're doing different things. Is this intentional? Is this your style of diplomacy?
Well, first of all, we are encouraged also by our ministry to communicate openly, to make our work transparent, to explain to the people why we are here and what we do. And in fact, I started my presence on social media here in Kenya, basically, and I'm a bit surprised myself how it works. Almost every week, sometimes every day, people come to me and greet me and tell me that they follow my account and that it's funny but also interesting. And I take this as a positive feedback and I try to continue, but it's also not without risks. You might have seen some of the stories where I had to explain a little bit the context, and you also know that some of the Kenyan people can be quite tough, especially on Twitter,
especially
or on
X, social media.
But you have to live with it somehow, and I really enjoy the work.
How do you balance it? Because now you're among the most visible. You've had to engage, and you say you are even identifiable on the streets. People can actually say that's the ambassador. And how do you balance that with this other side of your life, where you are also a performer? Because yes, you are a known musician as well. Tell us more about that and how that interlinks with your job as a diplomat.
I try to separate it a little bit. Not always. I do also musical things here at the residence, and of course, as you say, if I play sometimes outside of the residence, we play at jazz clubs or at events, then of course people recognize me or people know me. But sometimes we also play at the coast or in Kisumu, and then it's totally undercover. People just see the Mzungu at the piano and don't ask.
And they don't know it's the ambassador.
They don't ask, I don't tell. So I just make my music, and yeah, generally I try to separate it a bit.
All right. So when did you realize you had this love for the piano? And we are hoping that you'll get to play for us something on the piano. Tell us more about that.
I started when I was 8 years old, coming up in a very musical family. My mother was playing the piano, my father is playing the double bass. He still plays with 84. So it was quite natural for me also to start an instrument, but in Germany you have conservatoires in every smaller city. You start there, you make your progress, and then at the age of 14, 15, I started also with jazz. The classical education was, or the basic education was classical, but then I started with jazz. I played in the big band of our school. I had an own small jazz band and a first jazz teacher who was quite a known pianist in the region where I'm coming from. Then I made a little break during my university years, and I restarted afterwards when I also went to Berlin for the foreign ministry, because we have a foreign ministry jazz band there. So I played the piano there. And we were invited by embassies from time to time to play at our national day, or just because the ambassador wanted us to perform there. And I took, again, lessons with an Italian jazz pianist, who I also invited to come here to Kenya and play 2 years ago. Yeah, now I'm playing here, but I'm playing quite a lot here now, probably even more than before.
Right, and we're made to understand that you also play as part of a band here.
Yes.
Tell us more about that band now.
Yeah, it's basically a piano trio, so piano, bass and drums, but we are playing a lot with a guitarist also called Eddie Gray, who I got to know in 22 because he was invited before me coming here to participate in a tour of the Goethe Institute about the jazz scene and the jazz business also in Germany. And the other two musicians, the bassist player, I only know his nickname is Danger, even if he's not a dangerous person, a very, very lovely person. But I played with him already when I was here the first time, 21 to 2004, so we reconvened. And he brought on board a young, fantastic drummer called Philippe Odupa, and the band is called the Muthaiga 3 because we are rehearsing here in Muthaiga. It's not the best name, but now it's our name. And when we play with Eddie, we say then featuring Eddie Gray.
Yes, and you say you try to balance between the music side and diplomacy, but do they ever come together? Do you ever find that you need to use music towards your diplomatic duties?
In a way, yes. You know, I organize regularly jazz events here at the residence, where we start with our band, and then it's opened up for a jam session with a number of Kenyan musicians. Always there are around 10 to 15 other Kenyan musicians here that chip in, that come in, that bring their own bands in. But the other parts of the guests are diplomats, politicians, businessmen, cultural people, journalists, friends of mine, a very, very weird mix of people. And this is always a very special thing where at least people tell me it is always a very nice evening, and we have a fantastic nyama choma barbecue and some beer and wine. So there's a little bit of mix of music and diplomacy. I also do sort of more serious things. Sometimes we have German musicians that are touring Africa, and they are then performing here. So we had a very good duo, cello and piano here, and then I'm inviting also my friends from the diplomatic community and from the Kenyan government who I know that are interested in music to join us for this evening. And then of course it's also a mix of networking, of cultural performance and music, and just the fun of being together.
All right. And it's interesting how rhythm and harmony come together, both in diplomacy and even in music. So after the break, we'll be talking more about the Kenya-German relations and how that is going on. I've seen you also on social media try out some Kenyan cuisine.
Yes.
How good are you at it? And what do you enjoy most as far as Kenyan cuisine is concerned?
Yeah, I'm very open. I like, of course, fine dining and fancy stuff, but I also like the mama mboga stuff.
Today we're having a sit down with Sebastian Groth, who's the ambassador representing the Federal Republic of Germany in Kenya. He's also in charge of the mission in Somalia and the Seychelles as well. Now, what many people do not know about an ambassador is that Germany was the first country to actually recognize Kenya at independence. Now, that means that we've had this relationship and a fairly good one for over 6 decades now. How has it been? How would you talk about the Kenyan-Germany relations?
Yeah, as you say, it's really a very good relation. It's a very historic relation. It's a relation that brings together the political leaders of both countries. We once prepared an exhibition about 60 years also of development cooperation between our two countries, and we saw how many politicians from Kenya came to Germany already 20-30 years ago, but also the other way around. Every chancellor basically visited Kenya, and we even found one photo of Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Minister Mudavadi as a member of the soccer team of the Kenyan parliament, traveling to Bonn at this time and playing against the German team. I don't know who won, but I think it was a very friendly match also. And no, it's there you see on the political level, there is really a very, very dense exchange and continuous exchange. But it's also the people-to-people contacts. Germans are amongst the biggest tourist groups here in Kenya. We have a number of hotels that are run and managed by German investors or German directors, some of them older than 50 years. And for many people in Germany, if they think about safari, and Big Five, they think about Kenya, of course. So there's also this positive image of the country. But there's also sports, for example. If you look to marathon and athletics, when Germany looks to Kenya, but when Kenya looks to Germany, of course, it's all about football. Football made in Germany. Whenever I travel somewhere to small villages in Western Kenya or at the coast, people are coming to me and see that I'm German and then say, "Oh, football made in Germany." I grew up with football made in Germany. And of course, the classical German things like the big cars and the machines and engineering is still what I think is dominating the German image here in Kenya. We also have a solid economic relationship. We have 120 companies from Germany that are present here in Kenya. We hope also vice versa, that Kenyan investment and Kenyan exports enter the German market. There's culture also. Kenya was invited last year as the partner country for the Citizens Festival of the Federal President Steinmeier. And Kenya presented a wide range of its cultural heritage, and not only heritage, but also of its daily culture of today, be it the food, be it the beer, be it the dance, be it the music. So that also brought a big push for Kenyan presence, I think, in Germany. So you see there's a wide range of activities. There's of course development cooperation, but we can talk about this separately also. But from the very beginning, Kenya was one of the key partner countries in development cooperation, from Germany to Africa or to the so-called developing world. Now Kenya is a middle-income country, so it also made a good progress, but this is a very solid partnership.
Right. And what are some of the most probably notable or visible areas of collaboration between the two countries?
So I think one of the key areas is the field of climate and energy. From the very beginning, when Kenya started to develop geothermal, for example, in the 80s, Olkaria, Germany was a partner from the very beginning. And up to today, climate and energy policy is playing really a pivotal role in our bilateral relationship. We look to Kenya with a lot of admiration because Kenya has a 94% renewable energy in its electricity production basket, which is probably, or it is a world top leader in this regard, and we very much encourage Kenya to keep on developing this. So this is also why we concluded in 2022 a climate and development partnership with the then Chancellor Scholz and President Ruto witnessing the signing in Sharm el-Sheikh during the COP at this time. And it is one of the key pillars of development cooperation also. The second field I would like to mention is education. We have a number, more than 50 university partnerships between Kenya and Germany, and we are looking to increase these partnerships also. But we are also very active in the field of TVET. We developed together 7 TVET centers of excellence, where both KfW, our development bank, and GIZ, our technical arm of cooperation, are equipping, mentoring, and supporting TVET institutions, mainly in and around Nairobi. But we now, in the second phase, go also to all over the country, and we are now helping to establish 80 TVET institutions all over the place, and also with the support and equipment and curriculum, and also with partnerships with German TVET institutions, because we see this as a very important element of our support, because every year 800,000 to 1 million young Kenyans enter the job market or the education market and want to do something with their life, want to learn something. And this German model of dual vocational training is very successful in getting the young people qualified and helping them to find an entry point into the labor market.
All right. You also get to work under the umbrella of the European Union, and one of the big members of that union. How is that facilitating your work in Kenya?
Very, very much so, because our voice is much stronger as Europeans when we are united, when we are together here. And I think for me, Kenya is a model case of how the European embassies cooperate and coordinate and work together. So we have regular meetings together. We make also regular tours up country to visit European financed projects. So we have been to the coast, we have been to Western Kenya, to Homa Bay and Migori, and we have been to central northeastern Kenya lately. I think it's very important because not only because of the projects that Europeans implement together, but also because of the values that Europe stands for. So we are for fair and transparent relationship on eyes level with partners around the world like Kenya that share also our values and that want to live in a rules-based international order, that believe into multilateralism, that defend also the principles of the United Nations Charter. And I think in this regard, Europe plays a very important role here in Kenya also to enforce and strengthen this partnership.
All right, interesting, and it means that you've been quite busy. So as an ambassador, with all this that you have to do, and coming from such a culturally rich background in Germany, how has your experience been when you need to unwind in Kenya? What do you get to do?
Yeah. Well, first I'm here also with my family, so we travel quite a bit around Kenya, or we just going out for dinner together, and our sons are 15 and 17, and boys are not naturally the biggest talkative people, so you have to give them an incentive, a nice steak probably, and then you come back together as a family. Yeah, but I do sports if time allows, and I need it also just to balance. And I must say that I found a lot of very engaged and motivated trainers here for swimming. It's Sharon for tennis. It's a guy from Rwanda, Ernest, and I just started boxing together with my sons also, with Joshua Wazika, and I really like this because everything is so easygoing here. You write on WhatsApp, you meet whenever time allows, and that's very important for me.
Yeah, I've seen you also on social media try out some Kenyan cuisine.
Yes.
How good are you at it, and what do you enjoy most as far as Kenyan cuisine is concerned?
Yeah, I'm very open. I like of course fine dining and fancy stuff, but I also like the mama mboga stuff and the street stuff.
Kibanda.
Yeah, kibanda, or I'm everything, you know, and. But there's one thing that I didn't eat before, and that's the reg from the Kisumu area, Nyanza, the tilapia,
okay.
Dry or fried with the managu and the brown ugali. I prefer the brown ugali to the white ugali, even if it's not my first choice. Still, with ugali, I still have to stay a few more years probably to really get accustomed to it. But no, I just spent 3-4 days in Mombasa, and the seafood there is fantastic. I think everything in Kenya just tastes very, very good. Spinach, carrots, potatoes, you name it. I think you have all the stuff here to really prepare a wonderful cuisine.
All right, very interesting, and we could go on and on talking to you, Ambassador. But if at all you were to advise a German national traveling to Kenya as we wind up, what would you advise them? What kind of experience would you advise them to go for?
Well, we have a lot of friends coming over, and we always tell them you should at least plan for 10 days so that you have 2 days, 3 days in Nairobi, you make one safari, and then you go to the coast just to relax a little bit. And then I think you have a relatively good impression of the country, and even if it's not cheap, it is affordable, and you have really a good impression of the diversity and the richness also of the country, I think.
If you were to do the reverse, if I'm to travel to Germany, what would you advise me to go for?
Well, it depends a little bit on what your interest lies, but as you said, it's a very culturally rich country. So if you are looking for museums, you can of course go to Berlin, but also cities like Cologne or Frankfurt, Hamburg offer a lot. Depending on also if you look for modern art, contemporary art, or more like medieval art or the classical art. Then you can also enjoy the nature. You can go to the Alps in the south or to the Black Forest and just do hiking. You can go to the North Sea or Baltic Sea. At least in summer you can go there for swimming or for fishing. You can go to the eastern part, which is very interesting also historically, but also culturally, Leipzig and Dresden. So there are many, many places to visit, and a bit like in Kenya, of course we have not like communities like the Kikuyus and the Luos and the Giriamas, but we have also very different sort of people with different mentalities. So the people in the north are totally different from the Bavarians, for example. The Saxonians are different from the people from the Saarland, from the western part of the region. So it's also might be interesting for a visitor to go around and experience the different mentalities of the different German geography.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. And in Kenya, there's this thing we say, Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, Hamna Shida.
Hamna Shida.
Hakuna Matata is for the tourists, I think.
Yeah. Kila kitu sawa sawa. Is there any German equivalent that you could teach us, probably?
Wow. No problem, we say, like in English. Kein Stress, no stress. Yeah, if there's too much pressure, you say no stress. I think that's a bit the spirit of Hamna Shida, Hakuna Matata, no stress.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Sebastian Groth. Interesting how music and diplomacy share a rhythm. They both require listening, balance, harmony. Now, this is a quote attributed to none other than Ambassador Sebastian Groth, whom we've been talking to on this edition. These are the kind of experiences we continue to engage in on this show. Be sure to join us on the next episode. My name is Freddie Ndimuli.